You ever look at a GameCube game and just feel good? Like, not just regular nostalgia, but genuinely, why do these games still look amazing? It's not just the games we remember, it's the vibe. And trust me, this little purple cube was dripping with it. Today, we're breaking down the secret sauce that made GameCube games still look fire decades later. But before we dive into the sauce, let's take a quick trip back, just to remember where the GameCube even came from. The Nintendo GameCube dropped in 2001, going head to head with the PlayStation 2 and Xbox. And compared to them, it was weird. It didn't play DVDs, it used mini discs. It had a handle on the back. But underneath all that was a console that punched above its weight. It wasn't the most powerful, but it was a workhorse for smart developers. Over time, the GameCube became a home for some of the most creative, colorful, and just plain different games of its generation. And even though it didn't sell as well as the PS2 or the Xbox, it aged like royalty. And a big reason for that, it didn't chase realism. It chased style. Here's the thing. Most GameCube games didn't even try to look real. While other consoles were chasing dark, gritty, mature graphics, Nintendo and their homies were out here cel-shading pirate adventures, making vacuum-powered horror games and turning bugs into army soldiers. And it worked! Because stylization doesn't age the same way realism does. Take a look at Wind Waker, for example. It still looks amazing, but here's the wild part. Those looks, they weren't just by choice. They were born from limitations. The GameCube wasn't some god-tier powerhouse. It was actually a bit underpowered compared to the Xbox. But those limitations, they forced devs to get creative. They used brighter colors to make up for low resolutions, sharper outlines to make characters pop, and simple shapes that age like pixelated wine. Luigi's Mansion? Basically a flex in lightning and fog. Pikmin? A nature diorama that looks better than some PS2 games. They weren't faking realism. They were building miniature worlds that felt cozy and weird in the best way. Speaking of weird, let's talk about how no one got as funky as Nintendo during this era. Let me give you an example. Remember Chibi Robo? A tiny robot cleaning up stuff for humans? Or Odama? That was a war game, mixed with pinball, controlled by a microphone? No one else was doing this. Nintendo and their third-party weirdos were out here just cooking in the lab, making whatever they felt like. And because of that, the games didn't just look different. They felt like they came from an alternate universe where color was mandatory and fun was non-negotiable. And yet, here we are, 2 decades later, and somehow these games still hold up better than most. You fast forward 20 years and these games still look good. Not good for their time, no, just good. Why? Because they didn't chase trends. They chased vibes. They understood that if your game feels good and looks iconic, you don't need ray tracing. And that style, that heart, it lives on today in indies like Lil Gator Game, Frog Detective, and A Short Hike. They're not photorealistic. They don't need to be. They just make you feel like you're back in your room, controller in hand, no worries except beating the next level. And maybe that's what made the GameCube so special. It wasn't just graphics, or gameplay, or even nostalgia. It was vibes, and that never really left. The GameCube may not have been the most powerful, but it looked the best. And it still does. Because when you prioritize good vibes and clean style over fake realism, you don't just make a good game, you make a timeless one. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you liked the video. And hey, if you still got your purple cube at home, go give it some love. It deserves it.